Hello again, and welcome back to another tutorial in the camera and lens repair. And this time I will show you how one actually could make the sticky aperture ring in an old Leica-M more, let's say soft in the movement. So let's take a look what we need. And I put in my watch so one can actually follow how long or how short it will take. Well, the tweezer is very handy, nothing special. But we need some tools. I mean, the rubber cones from Japan Hobby Tool is absolutely essential. We need a lens spinner. This is an old compass which I have filed and grind to actually work with the lenses, which is very good. A lens blower is also good, and we need a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver. This is a brand called Vise, which I like. There are many other. It doesn't really need to be something special. We need some cleaning solvent, and for this I will use Isopropylalcohol 99%, which you can get probably on the apotheke. We need some cotton buds, which is also very good to have, especially when you need cleaning, and just a ordinary napkin for possibly cleaning something in here. And we need some grease. This is the very light grease, grade 10, which is very good for helicoils and other stuff that needs a a good soft movement. And of course, those tiny cotton buds, I mean, compared to the other, is also very handy. This not zoom ring, this aperture ring, it's a bit sticky. I mean, to me, you have to use just a tiny finger to move it, but it's a bit sticky. So I would like to make a video out of how we can fix that problem, so it will be very light and soft in the movement. But the lens is already cleaned and actually works perfect. So, but let's have a look inside, see what we can do. First, we need to unscrew the front here. And for that, we will actually use the rubber tool here. And it will be the number 4 of those 6. I will use the 4 of those, number 4, and it's good to keep them inside each other. It will make it more rigid to work with. So then unscrew the black retaining ring here that holds the nameplate, and just unscrew it counterclockwise. It can maybe sit a bit tight, but since I have already been into the lens, it's not a problem. Then take off the retaining ring and the nameplate. Now, since we are in here, there's not really much to do. There is a small set screw here, which I need to unscrew fully. But before doing so, I will just go in from the back, so I have the focusing system away from the actual lens aperture assembly. So it will be easier to actually take out the aperture ring, because there are some, I need to clean out inside here the tube here. And so I do actually take out the screw here on the side. which actually is a lock screw for the and I will take it off because I need the screwdriver later on. Better zoom in a little, see things a bit closer. And my watch in here. So, okay, little bug. Now, the lock screw here is actually a lock screw for the retaining ring in here, where the two notches are, one here and there's one over here, and it prevents the locking ring here, the retaining ring in here, from just unscrew. Now then I can actually use my lens tool here to unscrew it, but before doing so there's a kind of a light trap here that sits in the closest to the front here, I mean the back. And for that I will use the number 3 cone, because it fits actually perfect in here, and just press it in, and then it should be possible to just take this out. It's just held in place by friction, so it's not a problem. Remember how it face. The very thin edge here should face back, and the thicker edge here should of course face into the lens towards the front. Now, and then we are here. We can just unscrew this retaining ring in here. It can sit a bit tight, so to make it easier I simply use one of the other cones. It will be the number 5, to simply put over here, so I have a better grip. One could of course also use some sticky gloves, but this is just easier. And then it can sit a little tight, but it didn't here. If it's first time this ring is taken out, so the ring can sit pretty tight, and it did in my lens here. So, and out with that, and it looks like this. Nothing special. So, and now it should actually be possible to just take out the front. It will say I can just take out the whole thing here, take it apart. So the whole lens assembly and the focusing system is just taken apart. Don't, I mean, if it's not necessary, don't push out this ring here, because if we have a little closer look here, there are some kind of, well, let's say a band, or maybe it's rubber or leather or something like that, that makes the light tighten around the tube here. So just to mention that, it can be a problem to put in again if you've taken it out and let it stay out for a longer time, but it's not necessary to take it out. Just to do, if you do the focusing, it's not really necessary to take out, so just let it sit. Now, so to get into the aperture ring here, most of the time it's actually the aperture ring itself and not the aperture assembly in here where the blades are. So we do not need to go into the lens. I mean, take the lens element out. It's not necessary. But to unscrew this front here, it's not the ring in the retaining in here that holds the things here in place. It's the actual, they're sitting one lock screw here, a tiny set screw that we need to fully unscrew with the 1.2mm flathead screwdriver. So just unscrew it, and it's a tiny one. And now I will need to unscrew this, and I count from the place where the set screw is, and unscrew in this lens. I unscrew almost 4.5 turns until the front ring here comes off. It's a single thread, so it can only sit in one position when you put it on. I mean, you unscrew it and you think, okay, I forgot. Well, it doesn't really matter because there's a single thread, so it's not a problem. But just to mention that. So when I unscrew this ring here, I could also use a rubber tool to make it easier to unscrew it. And for make it even more easier, I could use this one and simply make it easier to loosen. When it's loosened, I simply count. It will be 1, 2, and 3, and there will be 4, and almost a little more than a quarter or something. So when it's off, it's just what it is here. So, and now I'm actually in where things are more interesting. So actually, to set the aperture ring correct into place, I could just set a small mark here, something like there, so I know where it should sit when I put it on. There could be some differences, but just to be sure, it can maybe sit so or the opposite way. I don't know, but there is no repair manual for this lens. I haven't got any. So one can actually, when the retaining ring on the front, the whole front ring here is off, one can actually just draw gently into here, and the aperture ring is off. But there is a little thingy here that I didn't recognize, and it was the tiny steel ball here, what you can see, and there is also a tiny spring. Of course, it makes the click, and I didn't know that because I haven't been into the aperture system. But we can see here that there are many old lube or whatever. It's really dry, and it's also dry here. So I would guess, without knowing it, that we will just use some isopropylalcohol on a cotton bud and simply wipe away most of it. As much as possible. Don't do it too wet, because then with the cleaning solution will simply go into the aperture system, and we don't need to do that. So it doesn't have to be the old stiff grease or whatever they have used. I don't know, but I think it will be much better when it's cleaned and then re-lube. I mean, it was a successful cleaning of the lens element, so I guess it will be the same here. There's really a lot of old the green stuff here, I think it must be the old grease. So wow. Maybe I should just use the napkin here. There's not really much it needs, but so I also can get rid of the it's more abrasive to the old grease here. So, and it looks much better to me. I'm satisfied with that. And the problem could be when using a napkin is, as I see it, there are some old stuff that could come into the lens itself. Of course, I could just have taken out the lens element, but I mean, it can be worse or much better in your lens, so I would guess it will be different. But it looks fine. So, and then I will just take the aperture ring itself and do some cleaning to make it fine and good. I think it will be interesting to put it back in again. How we will do that? The tiny steel ball and the a lot of old stuff here. Yeah, I think it will be really, really good. I could probably have used some lighter fluid, but I'm running out of that. So I choose the Isopropylalcohol, which is also a good solvent, but yeah, I think it will be fine for now. Let's see how it will go when it's put on. Yeah, I mean, it's much better. I can actually use my pinky finger to move it, which I couldn't before. So it's quite good. But and so I will just use some of this amazing stuff, the grade 10. Just use it doesn't have to be much grease. I mean, it will just be a little amount. It's just a thin film it needs, not the whole. I mean, doesn't have to be much, but I think it will be fine. when it's spread around. So there it is, and I can just put it on and move it around to spread the grease. Oh, fine, absolutely great. So it should be very easy to move. Now the next problem is maybe the tiny steel ball, but I think I will just add a little amount of grease in the hole, and then put in the tiny spring here. So, little fellow. And of course the grease is sticky. So, and the steel ball itself. No, I think I will just add a little grease on this hole, because then the steel ball can sit, I mean, be sticky, so it will not fall out. Oh. And then just add it in there, and there is it. And that's good. Now, recognize where the all the small notches for the aperture ring here, and then it should be possible to put it on by press it against here and then press it in. Yeah, it goes. And then I can just turn the aperture ring around, so it's there. Press it on, and then we're here. Wow. Yeah, much better, much better. It has the good feeling of the click is fine. So that's actually that. And then I think I will add the front ring here, and you see it can only sit in one way. Maybe I should there's one thing that might be good before I take it fully apart, and that's actually because maybe the aperture ring needs some, I mean, at least tiny fragment of lube on the edge of the aperture ring, just a tiny amount. Just take away the rest of the grease here. So, and then it's fine. Okay, where did it go? The mark is here. Yeah, it's better. And then I will just add a little amount on the back side here of the ring, because I mean, when the front ring is put in, there have to be some kind of there has been some, so I need to clean that too. Just a little. Oh, old grease. So and then it's fine. And I can just do a little more cleaning in here so it looks fine. So, and there it is. And just add a little amount of grease here on the back side. Doesn't have to be very much. So it will be more than enough. That's it. And so the front ring will come on, and I just have the hole here for the screw and put it over here somewhere. Find the thread and then just screw it in. And since it's a single thread, it can only sit in one way. So there the hole is. And then add the tiny little screw. It was not that screw, it was the other one. It's good to, when you organize, when you take things apart, organize them that in section where the screws and the ring and everything is, it belongs to. It will make it easier when you repair those stuff like this one or other parts. It's just my experience. So, and then the tiny set screw is in. Tighten it gently. No need for over tighten this tiny set screw. And now it's absolutely great. Wow, fine. Now I can just put it in here, back in the focusing housing. And I need to have the little hole here. And where is my hole here for the locking screw? So simply put it on. And there isn't any problem here. No. So you just put this in. And find the hole, as you can see where it is here. Find it there. Now then I can just put in my screw, so I know where it is. It's not always easy with rubber gloves. Maybe if I do so, yeah. So I have better control over what's going on. So there it is. It's good. In with the so in with the tiny screw. So it is. So there, and in with the retaining ring. Just put it in here. And of of course I need to unscrew the screw a little, because if not, the retaining wheel cannot be fully screwed in. So find the thread, and there it is. So, and then continue with screwing in the tiny screw, so it's kind of countersunk. So when you collapse the lens, it should be possible to screw it in. It's not really possible here, so I need to, loosen it a bit, just a tiny bit. So, and then screw it in again. So it should be enough, and then I can put it in. So now my aperture ring is much better. It's soft and very, very fine. Before I couldn't really do the movement with my finger without any problem. So you can see this is how it's done. And the only thing I need to do is to put in the light trap here, or whatever it calls. Simply put it in as long as you can. And then the nameplate and retaining ring, and here we are, actually with the fully working lens. Oh, I need to put more in of those because it's easier to work with if the retaining ring sits a bit. Has to say click the thread. So here we are. Tighten it gently, no need to over tighten it. And here we are. So, and there's some stuff there, and then it looks really fine. And that was that. That was quite easy. But then my retaining, my aperture ring is absolutely fully working. So how about that? So that was actually all for me. So hope you can use the content and probably do the same with your lens. And there will be much more videos from me sooner in different content. So bye bye.